the chill as the dark winds sigh. Footsteps echo from the stairs up high. A spooky song that makes the bravest cry. Windows rattle, curtains sway with fright. Poltergeist dancing in the dead of night. Ooh, can you hear them calling your name? Whispers in the night, it's a ghostly game. Haunting melodies play, can't escape the shame. In the house of shadows, they light in the flame. Old portraits watching with their hollow
once a place of welcome and splendor.
gaze. Memories buried
Lady Blackbird comes to
in
greet us.
misty haze. Flickering candles cast an eerie glow. As the stories unfold, you don't want to know. Now the clocks strike midnight, silence fills the air. Every creak and groan, they're lurking everywhere. Ooh, can you hear them calling your name? Whispers in the night, it's a ghostly game. Haunting melodies play, can't escape the shame. In the house of shadows, they're lighting the flame. The walls are breathing, can you feel the weight? These restless souls can't seem to find their fate. Dancing with the past, they're longing for release.
The hunter's
but
paradise.
they linger on, never finding peace. With every flicker of the candle's light, you can hear their laughter echo in the night. The air gets thick like a spell that binds. In this haunted dwelling, they play with our minds. Ooh, can you hear them calling your name? Whispers in the night, it's a ghostly game. Haunting melodies play, can't escape the shame. In the house of shadows, they're lighting the flame. So if you feel a shiver, don't you run away. Embrace the whispers that are here to stay. In the quiet corners where the spirits dwell, listen closely and you'll hear their tale to tell. In the still of the night, let their stories flow. For in the dance of shadows, the mystery will grow.
Rusty Lily-White, everybody. Rusty Lily-White, another good tune. Poltergeist. Our wonderful band, Rusty Lily-White. Welcome in, everybody. I hope, can you hear me? 5-5. We have Eddie is in the green room trying to get his camera going. Eddie, if you can hear me, I see your microphone is on. Michael, I got you, honey. I see your microphone is on. If he backs out and comes back in, if he can hear me, if he can't, Mike, I'm going to hand it over to you. If you could send him a text, go out, come back in, and right before he pops in the green room, there's a settings gear there, and it'll tell him to set his camera and his mic, and maybe he just needs to turn his camera on or uncover it. If he doesn't want to do camera, he doesn't have to. He could just do an icon, and we're going to bring you all in here in about 5 minutes. I'm going to say hello to these wonderful people here. Hello, everybody. 5-5 on YouTube. Are we 5-5 on Rumble? I see my Rumblers out there. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I see Sunshine, Uncommon Belief, Lisa, Midwest Night Watchers over there on YouTube. I am seeing Ted. I think, Ted, you were the first one in the door. Thank you for all your drops and links. I appreciate you, my friend. Hello, Bernice, I see you. Hello, hello, hello. And Henry, I see you over there in the Rumblers. So I don't have eyes on my YouTube chat tonight. I have one laptop down. I'm trying to get my other one to come up. I think it will. I think we can get it rolling. Yeah, there I am. Okay. Sorry for the echo. And we're trying to get Eddie in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a little idea of what we're doing tonight, and I'm going to give Eddie some more time, and we'll figure it out. We'll get him in here, even if it's just on his lovely voice on phone. So don't worry about it. But one of the things you guys know I do the most on this show, I mean, gosh, I'll never get enough of a ghost story, good ghost stories, especially one with facts that doesn't add a lot to it. Hey, Ian, welcome in. And if I missed you, I'll try to catch you throughout the show to say hello and welcome you in. Um, One of the big things is, for me, it's always been the history. It's been what's going on in the place. There's so many questions to ask before you even get there, right? But it's also, once you get there, how are you handling the investigation? What does it mean to you? Why are you going? Why are you showing up? Why are you taking your time, or maybe even taking time off to go to a place to investigate it, as far as the history? Are you doing it to help a family or a business or something like that, to investigate an issue that they're having, or that they think they might be having? Are you just going because you really like photography and you really love to get certain tech, and see if you can get things down on tape, like EVPs or video? Um, and what is your driving force beyond that? Is it historical value? Is it trying to keep the story of the place alive? What if you do all those things and you really enjoy it? And your big thing is to keep that history alive, and to keep um, maybe people's thoughts on a ghost town, or maybe historical place. If you live in Philadelphia, maybe it's Independence Hall. If you're in the deep South, maybe it's an old cabin that's got a great story, and it's on the side of the mountain. Oh, I see you, Eddie. I got you, darling. I got you, darling. Okay, so that's my thing. Um, People tend to take these things, a dime a dozen, us old folks used to say. That there's so many of them. It's not important. We need to get back to the feeling of the paranormal again, to put the feeling back into the paranormal, because a lot of us are using our feelings, our intuition, our, if we have abilities, or just our sixth sense, or whatever that may be, or just our love of the story, and our love for the adventure, and our want to, like I said, keep the history of that property alive. Or maybe we're just interested in what went on at that property, and we have some kind of admiration for the ways things used to be done in the past, and the simple nature of how people lived, and hard life, depending on what direction you're talking in history and where. But you could say more primitive, but was it worse or was it better? Because it seems to me that an awful lot of ghosts like to stick around and have their story told. And I think they really appreciate um, the intent of some of the hearts that are out there in the paranormal heart, really, of this whole thing, the supernatural. And I think they feel that. I think they see that in your aura. I think they know it before you ever get there. I think they feel that somebody's coming, might listen. If you've ever tried to talk to a friend or a family member or somebody like that, in life, that just could not understand what you were saying, just could not get it, was not in the same ballpark as you, and you're flabbergasted that they feel the way they feel, or they're thinking the way they're thinking, or they're doing the things they're doing, and you're arguing to the point of you're blue in the face. Again, here's another little saying we used to say: "Too blue in the face." Imagine talking to the dead that have passed, and you have no idea who they were, no idea how they got where they are, or why they stayed, and what do they see. You have to have an understanding that you're talking to people. And you have to understand that you're on their grounds, for the moment. And I think putting yourself in that position, putting yourself in what do they see? What are they experiencing? It's just the beginning of getting anywhere with an investigation or getting any evidence. Because I think if you go in the opposite right away, you've just dispersed those who just aren't going to have put up with your shit. You know what I mean? And they're gone and they're hiding and they're not going to communicate. But I think if you can reach out and you can make that connection, the gentleman I have on tonight, and I don't use that term loosely, they'll say I do, are friends. They are immediate friends. These are people that once you walk up into their energy, you don't have to say much else. You know that you're a kindred spirit. You know that you're going to understand everything you're talking about. You know you're going to be able to jump into a conversation and just get on with it, because you don't have to go through the preliminaries. You don't have to go through, is he lying to me? Is she pulling my leg? Is she batshit crazy? Well, we all know the answer to that. I'm a little batshit crazy, but just the right amount and at just the right times, I believe. But who's going to believe me? I'm batshit crazy. But here's the thing. These gentlemen are the real deal. They are friends. They're friends of the show. Without further ado, Mr. Michael Chiana and Mr. Eddie Howell. Come on in here, you guys. Come on in here, Eddie. Hi, darling.
Hello.
Can you hear me? Hello, baby. Hi, Mike. How you doing? Oh my goodness. Oh, goodness.
My friends
I'm
out
so
there
excited.
in the comment room.
Hello, everybody. Throw bacon. They're slinging bacon at you guys already. It's all coming up.
Like bacon.
Oh my goodness. Vixen Doe's got you bacon in here. Look at all this. Look at all this. Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Renise, Ted, bacon's love. You remember that, don't you? You don't have to catch it, but you got to let them sling it at you because they're telling you that they love you. I gotta believe. So welcome in. How have you been? Eddie, would you like to go first, since it's been a while you've been on? How you doing, darling? Great to see you.
I'm fine, and thank you so much for having me on your show, and Michael. And since the COVID thing happened quite a few years ago, a lot of stuff kind of slowed down there for a while, and we didn't get to do a whole lot, but little by little we've been picking back up. And thanks to Michael, because we work a lot together. We have separate groups, but we work a lot together. We've actually been involved in a few things over the years. We just haven't been putting out the videos like we used to put out, but we will do that again at some point.
Right. And it's so good to see you, love. Just mwah, big kisses. And Michael, how you doing, darling? You're so
great.
busy, and I know you guys, like you said, collaborate. You work together, and and so many different things. Yes, I do.
have so many projects going on. I can't even keep track of stuff, but that's how I like it. I like to do that. So
it makes it fun.
That's being a Gemini, the dual personality. You never get enough done. So
that explains a lot.
That shit crazy.
You know what? You got to embrace it. I always kid because I had just about half my life in up north. That was my foundation. That's where I was born. And I went in the military, and I decided to stay in Alabama for the longest time. So I got for the same amount of time, really. So I got a little bit of half and half in there. And, it's just the way it balanced out. It's just, here's the thing. You learn what you need to move fast and get things done up north, and just whatever, and the hustle and bustle. And by the time you've wrestled through all that, you can appreciate the South. Because when you go to the South, you can slow down, you can wave. You might live in a if you never live in the South, let me give you a little slice. You might live in a neighborhood where it's just the feeling of it. You might wave to the same guy at the mailbox 3-4 times on the way to work. You might not go out and have a sit down with them every month, but there's a friendliness to it. Here we just flip the finger and run you off the road. Everybody's in such a hurry, and I think there's a different kind of paranormal investigation. Not that it's better or anything, it's just different. In the South, you guys, you take a little more time, where you get in there and you see these shows, Eddie, Mike and I have talked about all the time, where we know doggone well they're produced and they're edited, and we know some of the people that are on these shows, so we know that they're there for a couple of weeks. It's not 45 minutes with commercials,
Right.
and you don't just run in there and but here's the thing, I can watch a whole season, and all told, credible evidence, I can loosely use that term, just for giggles, I say credible evidence all gathered. You could take a whole season of it and lay it down next to an investigation that maybe you guys or some of the other people that we know and that we are affiliated with in our group of this wide, wonderful paranormal group we have of, friends and acquaintances. And one investigation up against the whole season, and you've got a ton more of credible evidence, of EPs that are clear, of maybe conversations, maybe a continued conversation. Mike, last time you were here, we talked about that, where you've gone back a couple times and almost had it continued with the same, what you feel it might be the same entity, the same ghost, whatever.
Years
Yeah.
back, not just not months. Eddie knows, years,
Yeah.
years of
Right.
location, so.
Right. So when you guys, now I don't want to take, if you want to tell whatever you want to tell, you bring it on. But I'd like to start with, I understand how you got together because you're similar in how you investigate and your thoughts and your reasoning and your intent. So that just draws us all together in that same light anyway. It makes it comfortable. I've investigated with you, Eddie, and both of you guys at the same time. I mean, we didn't have a lot of time, but it was, like I said, enough, because you don't need to spend years together to get to know people when you mesh with them,
Right.
if that makes sense.
Right.
And I underline that again, because if you're in a paranormal group and you're just getting together, anybody, 2 or 3 people you met down at the laundromat, you're probably not going to have the best, results, or jumping in a car and going to the cemetery. If you're really interested in this, try to be friends with people. If you, first, you see what I mean, talk about it, see why the other person is getting involved, what's important to you. Let's balance this out. I think you guys, what I really meant to say in the beginning was, I think you guys got a lot of that hammered out for you in the beginning because you were drawn. You're real spiritual people. Your light is very strong and your intent is very similar. And I think we tend to gather with people like that. So I wanted to throw that out there as an approach to starting a group or having a group. And maybe if you're in a large group, maybe break it up in 2 groups or 3 small groups to see how people work together. I don't understand why people don't think about that, because they do it in the military. You'll do it in any kind of team sport. You'll do it in any kind of other thing like that. And I think maybe, do you think it's because people don't take this seriously enough from the get-go and they're just kind of playing house, so to speak? Let's try, Eddie, what do you think about that? I know it's a weird question, but
No, it's a weird question. It's a great question, and I'm so glad you brought it up, because I think the reason we were drawn together with Michael in the first place, because we met him in 2009 at Lake Lure, North Carolina, at a ghost hunt conference put on by PSI and Joe Wright, and we really appreciate that. We had a great time, and that's where I met Michael and his wife. My approach was, NC Hags, which is our group, for those of you that don't know, North Carolina Hates Apparitions, Ghosts, and Spirits. We got together in 2006, and it was a group of 4 friends. And then we had a few other friends come in and some people come and go. But it was a friendship first and foremost. So we all knew what we were there for. We kind of knew what we were thinking and what we were feeling and what we were trying to accomplish. And then I have to say, which Michael can speak for himself, but Michael, he reached out and helped a lot of people from different groups and individuals. And he ran into some wonderful people, and he ran into some really bad situations too. And all during that time, we were fortunate enough to have a friendship with Michael and do some projects with him. And over the years, as he, decided that he wanted to do more stuff as his own entity and work with close people, which we happen to fall into that category. Thank you, Michael. And some people left our group for different reasons or whatever, but we're still intact. And me and Michael and the members that kind of surround us of a few groups here and there, people we know and we've worked with, we really have a respect for each other, and we really
Please tell me that's cookies. The cookies are done.
The cookies are done. The brownies are done.
Brownies are
and we take each other on investigations. So unlike some people who just want to go and they want to know when you're going and they want to go all the time, it's kind of reciprocal. We may take Michael somewhere with us. He may take us somewhere with him. We do some joint ventures together and have an absolute blast and get some really good information from these ghost hunters.
Yeah. Right. And it's, I think it makes all the difference in the world when you take your time. You know, I think so many people are in this fast track and they just jump into things, and it might disappoint somebody enough to get them a bad taste in their mouth about, well, I tried that. It was just, you know, when we had a chance to expand the mind part into the paranormal and supernatural so it's not ruined for them. And that's another big thing of mine. It's like, I hate seeing people just come in and bop somebody over the head with, you know, that can't be true. You can't believe that. You can't feel good about that. That never happened. Ghosts are made out of green cheese. You know, that's not your grandmother. That was Satan. You know, there's no way you're talking to, you know, whatever it may be. And I'm not dissing people for their belief. I'm just saying,
right,
quite possibly you don't need to go over to that little girl who found a power, like I want to use the right word, a propel forward in her life, maybe a little bit out of her grief, a little bit more of, well, you know, I have some hope now, I can move on. And then somebody just comes and bashes that. I can't think anything more cruel, except maybe going in and teasing a ghost and saying, if you knock 3 times here, I'll do this, and then laughing and leaving. And the ghost is going, wait, I need help, you know, that kind of thing. So I think it's so important. Mike, did you have anything that you wanted to add to Eddie?
Well, like when we first started out, as far as, you know, Eddie had really amazing childhood growing up with his experiences. And if he likes to share that, he can. So he had his childhood and he had experiences. Me personally, growing up, I didn't have any until I was 14. And that's when I was a musician, started out as a musician and was working in a recording studio when I got a little older, doing demos and things like that, and got into audio. But at 14 is when I recorded my first ghostly voice. And so that put me on the path at that age. But over the years, between both of us and our groups and different people that we worked with, in the beginning, we saw all kinds of drama. And the problem was all these TV shows were just coming out at the time for the first time, as far as team groups like CAPS and other shows like that. And so we saw all the drama that went in our local areas of teams that were getting together, and almost everybody was trying to get fame, and they thought that they were going to be famous, and they backstabbed the living shit out of people, would steal people's names for their groups and go down to the state secretary of state and file their other names with other groups and steal their names of their groups. I mean, just really treacherous things.
Awful stuff. And this is happening everywhere. It's not just in Europe.
This was years ago. This is 05, 06.
Right.
And so then it tapered off for a little bit, and then the shows got worse and worse and worse with all this crap. And then YouTube took over and Facebook took over, and now, I mean, we saw a few hundred groups at the time, and now, I don't know, what was it 12, 15,000 groups out there, maybe more, and it really is sickening to see what these people. They're sitting in front of these little boxes and their little gadgets and things like that. And they don't even really understand how to properly investigate with simple, good audio, good video, good photography. Like I always say, learn your equipment, learn your craft, like any other field. And so you don't see a lot of that. And
you can tell the difference if you're getting something or not getting something. If you don't know, say, I'm just imagining off the top of my head because I'm certainly not a photographer, But my sister was one, and she started with the black and white 30. But she was a photographer in the Navy during Vietnam, so that
Okay.
gives you an idea of the equipment she was
I know
working with.
exactly.
And
Yeah.
she raised, the little bit of time I had with her, she always emphasized the importance of the equipment and to understand your equipment. And people were just, I saw a lot of the 35 millimeter because we actually had classes, photography classes in high school. It was something you could take.
Yeah,
It was a
me
big
too.
deal, developing and the whole shebang.
Oh,
I
wow.
wish I had taken it. But
Oh, I
the
did. I did all that,
understanding
yeah.
of, if you don't know your equipment, how are you going to know it's a light leak on your film? Or it's not a this on your film, or this can't happen to, I learned a lot, studying I don't want to get into it, but the JFK assassination, just on the Zapruder film, on the frames and the numbers and the holes along the side. I mean, them being able to say, look, that's not my film because I use that kind of film.
Right.
So,
Simple
just
things
facts,
that are right in
facts,
front
facts,
of you.
facts.
Right. Yeah. But and
Yeah.
then we got into TikTok. Okay, so now there's the TikTok world that's controlling the world, and everybody's about money and hits and how much money can I make, each month, and just make up a bunch of bullshit and throw it on TikTok, and that's now where we're at. Which to me, it's probably the lowest we've ever been in the paranormal field. And now we
Well,
have,
no, because now we have AI.
well,
Now
now
we
we
have
have a
AI.
comedian buying the Annabelle doll and buying the house, and I'm like, this is really disgusting.
Yeah. And it
really
is about that.
so,
And I think both of you and myself, and my experience, and what Eddie was explaining, and what you guys have experienced in the paranormal investigation with the infighting and the trying to jump evidence and trying to, my EVP is better than your EVP, whatever that may be. Instead of together and going, wow, what a miracle! Look what we got. Let's get all the credible evidence in the center of the floor, and let's try to understand this better so we can go leave this room, leave this place, and go out and be better paranormal investigators and better help to the living and the dead, and then come back and do it again. What a world that would be. But I'm watching at Paracons, one recently that just went by, and I got several calls, and out of those calls, 75% of the calls all mentioned that there was infighting going on between groups. There was this going on.
oh, yeah.
People save up all year to go to these things, to talk to people and interact with people. And how are you going to have people pulling this crap in this day and age? It just doesn't make sense to me.
Oh,
And
well,
here's the only answer: you're in it for the wrong reason.
Yeah.
Because if you were in it to assist the dead, if you were in it to understand more of what was going on the other side, or there even is another side, if you're then you have to do it with heart, or you're going to get bad information. You're not going to, the stuff that's drawn to you, Eddie, you understand this. Mike and I have talked many times, you and I have talked several times about it. You get what you put out. Your vibration, your intent, your frequency. And I think that draws in. So this is why we laugh when we're saying, guys, you don't understand. We're not saying that the Ouija board is evil. We're saying that you're bringing bad things to the board. And when you say, please use me as a conduit and come in, who's hanging around? Do you think there's a lot of ascended beings flying around your bedroom, waiting for you to have a sleepover? No, you're going to get lower level somethings, and with all of the fear that you're because that's what the fun is. We're talking about doing the Ouija board. We're working up a big build up to it, and the whole thing's, there's somebody going in that circle scared, then you're going to have the ones that are just trying to pull, so the point I'm trying to make is, whatever vibration is in that room amongst the people, who are you sitting with? Who were you in there putting yourself at risk with, sitting there and just letting any all come in? It's like leaving your front door open and going to bed and just trusting everybody, come on in. So we're not saying it's evil. We're saying it's more intent. It's more what you're bringing to the table, so to speak, to the investigation.
What we have to do nowadays for us, and thank God we're seasoned, we're older, and we're supposedly wiser. But from what we've experienced over the years, and we're just not interested anymore in dealing with what's going on in the community. We've always done our own thing. I've always done my own thing. I have my own approaches. Eddie has his own approaches. And when we would get together, we would all mix them up and share each other's different opinions like when we would get together after we would do an investigation with 3 separate teams, we would all get together at somebody's house. We'd get pizza. We'd make sure all the pizza was there. And then we would sit down and we would go through all the evidence. And we would actually sit there and vote on what we thought were different things before we ever got to a conclusion of what this
It's
EVP
so
was
much
saying.
fun.
Yeah, and we had a
And
blast.
you're really getting the whole thing. I think it's almost different. Something popped. It might be batshit crazy, but here it flies. It's the difference between going through the drive-through and eating your lunch in the car and going to sit down dinner where you can relax with candlelight around the dinner table and enjoying the food, enjoying the company and the conversation, and really having that full experience, that rich experience. And we've made everything fast. You mentioned TikTok. I mean, that's it. You push the button and everything's give me, and you see the result of this. You know, the young people don't have time to say, everybody's got the attention span of a goldfish, you know, so it's, you know, in and out fast. I love that you guys are bringing back, you know, we know you, Mike, you're so much about the history and bringing out the story of the property, the land, the building, the people, depending on what investigation it may be. You know, I've seen you do everything from almost like small general store type size things and homes to larger things. And the same with you, Eddie. So I want to ask you both. I'd love to get back to what got you started, or, you know, what I'm definitely going to ask you what your favorite ghost story is, you know, what, and that story that changed your mind or left an imprint for whatever reason, because I love the shifts. I love the shifts. You know, I can think of so many in my time in the 50 years of having an experience at 10, thinking you know what you saw, you know what you experienced, and understanding through your filters and your feelings and, you know, your initial thoughts and intuitions of what you understood it to be, and then jump 30 years later and learn all these wonderful things and look back again and run it through your new filters and understanding, go, oh my God, it was so much more, you know. And I think people are missing so much, and I'd love to tap into that. But for just a few more minutes, let's stay back into the paranormal grouping, because I want to throw out there to anybody that's getting into group, I think it's a great idea to have a little questionnaire. It doesn't matter, nothing elaborate and crazy. We tend to go a little nutsly. You know, why are you doing this? What is your what are you most interested in? What are you least interested in? Simple little questions in the paranormal. Why do you want to be a part of the group, or why do you want to be a part of this investigation? And what are your strong points? What do you think you're bringing here? And what would you like to take away from? You know, little things like this that give you an idea of, okay, well, that person, if we don't know everybody and we're just trying out the group, let's go and do a little short investigation and whatever it may be, and see how everybody works together. Because I think it's something we have to consider is also taking the energy thing to the next step and thinking not every energy should be with another energy. You know what I mean? As far as people, the human beings, because I've noticed something, and it's a little pattern. Maybe you guys have too. I've done a lot of work with vets. I'm a vet myself. I've done through the years, I've done many for, you know, with my Native American stuff, or the herbs, or whatever it may be, or just sitting down and talking to a soldier and working through some stuff, you know, very much like you would a ghost. And, you know, just getting it all out there on the table and burdening the soul. And what I have noticed about a lot of people that have been through a trauma, through, that word might be too strong, but you get my drift. They tend to lean toward this, I want to go after the negative. I'm tough. I'm going to go in that basement. I'm not saying provoking. I'm saying drawn to the darker side, as far as I'm tough. I'm a warrior, and I get this. I'm a warrior. I can handle it. I'm the tough guy in the room. I'm going to take it on. They're using their soldier persona to battle in a way, you know, we're not provoking, but I'm strong enough. You're talking to me kind of thing. And I'm seeing that not turn out well.
Right.
For these
Well,
living
you
individuals.
know my answer to that, don't you?
I think I probably do, but I wanted to hear both your sides because I think we need to put that out as a cautionary tale because it's really a lot more prevalent than we may realize, and I'm seeing it more because there's a lot of law enforcement, there's a lot of ex-military, there is a lot of EMT, there is a lot of these people that are drawn to these things, and I just like them to understand that might not be the best idea.
Right.
Because I think it has a link. Now, I'll shut up after I explain why I asked the question. There's a link to, say, children that have gone through some type of trauma and then having something dark attached to them because of that. I think is one of the most unfair truths in the paranormal, but it's something it happens. And it's not the child's fault. It's not the issue. It's the fact that it's drawn to the negative energy, to the trauma, to the fear, to the suffering, to that whole thing. And it's not fair. It's easy to dispel once you realize what it is. It's like, I know there's a monster under the bed, and I know if I just tell it to go away, it will. Once you have your tool, you're fine. But I think it has something similar to do with that, Mike. Am I on the right track? Why are they drawn to deal with the negative?
Right. And definitely Eddie can answer that better with his past.
Well, I see what you're saying, Cisco. I think a lot of times people are, for many reasons, drawn to the dark side of the situation and chasing that darkness. I'm not sure. It's like you were saying the thing about if you're going to let somebody come in your group and go on an investigation with you, you need to know why they're there and what they hope to accomplish. Because you're so, in my opinion, you are so correct that it is what you do with it. It is what it is, as they say. If you bring a bad influence or a negative influence into what you're doing and looking for bad things and stuff, then most likely you may find those kind of things. But if you have a positive attitude about what you're doing, where you're trying to actually find out information, and especially like what Michael does about the historical side, he does that wonderfully. If you're looking to actually get answers and to help people and understand situations, to me, that's a positive thing. And that's much better to approach it that way. And I'm not saying there's nothing negative out there, because I know there are some negative things out there. But to go chasing down that rabbit hole is probably not. Regular ghost hunting to me is not about that. It's you kind of take a positive attitude to the group and what you're trying to do and what you're trying to accomplish. And in our case, we have had some wonderful results and figured out some things about, names and places and, maybe what was going on or what we felt was going on at a place. And so we do it on a much more positive level than a negative kind of thing.
And that's it, Betty. That's it right there. That's my answer and my reasoning for bringing that forward, because there's so many things in what you just said. I agree with all of it. And it is going to make a difference in the result. But I also feel that, and I want everybody to look out for this, because if you can see it coming and you can stop it, if you're going to have to deal with the individual the way you deal with them, on an individual basis. It might be a brother or a friend or somebody in your group or you, but understand why you're doing it. There has been a rash of things, and you reminded me when you mentioned the Annabelle doll, and I don't want to bring up the names and anything else because the family is still in grief and suffering, and I believe in handling these things tactfully. But there seems to be this rash of this haunted doll mess, haunted object mess, haunted this mess, and and again, can it be? Sure. Is it in there all the time? I don't think so. I think it reacts when you talk. I have many theories on it, but here's the thing. I think when you call evil, it answers. And when you start allowing these things to be part of your conversation, this is a way, anything can be used like this. But if you don't realize that you're being lured in, right? And now this unfortunate incident with the Annabelle doll here not lately, this was a vet.
Yeah.
And I recognize the energy. I recognize I can do this. I'm going to do this for I'm going in. I'm going to, for everybody, I'm going to go in and investigate whatever it may be. I can't speak for him. I wouldn't dare. But for whatever reason, I see this all the time. And I don't know if it's a ramp up. I'm seeing a ramp up of the dark and a ramp up of the light. And the more tools we can bring out and go, look, and I realize what's happening with the dark side, and we don't want to amp it up. And if you, like Eddie just said, have somebody in your group or this is your approach at things, I'm telling you, things are ramping up and nothing to play with. It is nothing to play with. I think the biggest lie ever told in the paranormal was that ghosts can't hurt you. Because we all know it's not true. And yeah, and there's other things out there that are 100 times worse, and it's nothing to play with, and people are very flippant about things and everything else. Look, we're never to have all the answers. We don't want to make up stories, but when you entice and you challenge the dark, it usually answers, and the answers you're just not going to want, and you don't know if it's hitting you or your loved one or somebody weaker in the house or something else. And I've seen it time and time again. So it's not just we go at things at a different approach. It's not that I won't deal with something like that, but here's what you're doing. You're undermining your whole group in your investigation. If you're going in just for that, because that's what's going to come forward. It's more likely going to be stronger. It's going to know how to use energy better. It's going to use fear and the excitement and the adrenaline in the room from the investigation. And you're probably overlooking multiple other ghosts that you could have sat down and maybe had a conversation with, maybe helped the issue, because they're going to get bumped to the back for sure. What would you like to say about that, Mike? Any of that we just talked about?
Well, if you just go back to the basics, you have light and you have darkness. And really, that is everything in this life. It really is. Light is love. So if you have that, you're doing good. And if you focus on that, you're always going to do good. And you're going to have a much more enjoyable life. And then we've come across people in the paranormal groups that all they want to do is evil and demons and this and that. And then as soon as we found out what they were, we're like, oh no, that case got canceled. Sorry. And we nixed them. We cut them off, because we have had some situations that we were dealing with a family that had a lot of things going on. And I almost made the mistake of letting this one team come in. And once I started researching them and I saw what they were doing, I just said, if I were to bring this group into this family, it would be a nightmare and it would make it 10 times worse. And so thank God I mixed it. But to all these groups out there that are looking for this dark stuff, go pick a different profession. Go pick a different profession. Leave. Do not go into the paranormal. But unfortunately, there's no controls on the paranormal anymore, and anybody and their brother can make up any kind of stupid group or evil name and go out there and thrill seek all they want. And it's a shame, because it hurts people like us that have been doing this for many years and we're seasoned, and we stay positive about what we do. We've helped a lot of families over the years and business owners and things like that, just to get answers. Not that we're going to solve any big problems or anything, but just to be able to get a name of a person that was connected to a building that was already, connected to that location. I mean, that's amazing that spirit is still there and that we're getting this.
But if you can't communicate, if you can't have a conversation, we're just guessing at why they're there, because they might not even know why they're there. They might not even know where they are or how they are or when they are. And to just go in there assuming all these things and bombard them with these,
it falls into thrill seeking. And thrill seeking, unfortunately, now is about 90% of the paranormal field. It used to be 30% or 20%, and now it's 90 easily.
Right.
90.
So I love that you said it that way. Thrill seeking.
You go on to YouTube right now, and you just take a pad and write down just about every video you see. It's going to be 90% negative. It's going to be demons. It's going to be this. It's going to be that they're scared and they're running in the dark. I mean, if you're an investigator and you're going on location and you experience something and you're scared, you should not be there. You do not belong there. I'm sorry, you just don't.
Michael watched me get choked in a dark. You were there too,
Yeah.
Eddie, weren't you?
Eddie was back at the hotel. He wasn't.
He was back at the hotel. You missed it.
Brandon was there, and Cisco's sitting there getting choked, and we're going, oh my God, she's like, I'm okay. Meanwhile, whatever was choking the hell out of her, because it was an old speakeasy, and a lot of bad things went on down there, and and so it was very, and she just handled it like a pro, like, I'm okay.
I'm okay. Well, the thing is, and God bless them, they just let it happen, and that's hard for a man to watch a woman being choked by something they can't see, and they just sit there and just, okay, we'll take some pictures then, because it's just. But the thing is I didn't want to break it because I was getting a message clear that she was showing me. It was not a pleasant one, but I figured, look, how many people are going to sit here and let her tell them? Like she, I don't know if she knows another way to show people. Maybe I was just the right energy, the right timing, whatever. We got a lot of information out of that, and I just got choked a little bit. I'll tell you what, my throat was sore the next day, but it wasn't, I could tell right away it wasn't a hurting. She wasn't doing it to hurt me. She was showing me what she went through.
Yeah. And she was probably a lady of the night, definitely connected with the speakeasy. And there was, a betrayal. The boss man that controlled everything. So we got a lot of stuff from that. And Pam and Steve and everybody else and Jim shared so many things with the Hoover House that is amazing. And so, but a lot of that stuff, especially the evidence that was captured there, photos and things, that'll be in the next Gettysburg episode that's coming up through my Journey Through the Past series.
Oh, wonderful.
So highlighting the Hoover House as well.
Yeah.
So it's not just about Gettysburg, it's the connecting areas too. But unfortunately, and like you were saying about military and this and that, and people that really are thrill seekers, and they came in from the military, and so they're going to be tough macho people, and they're going to go fight the demons, they're going to fight the ghosts. Do us a favor, don't just go do something else. Go be
and it's
a professional wrestler or a boxer. Do something else, because we don't really want you in our field. We stay very positive.
And it's serious for their own. I mean, you got to find something else or go at it about it in a different way, because
like you said,
they feel tough, but they have cracks in their windshield that are so easy to push on and to get into and to manipulate and to oppress and to guide, and we have to understand those things. I mean, I've been with people that were like that, and they had no idea why they were doing it. I'm saying, honey, you don't understand. They're what's the word I want to use? They're taking advantage of your trauma, and they're leading you falsely into this. We've got it, but because you have the trauma, and I'm not saying, I'm being careful here, because you have the drama that unfinished, business of your own. Let's just put it that way. It's easy to push on those things. Here's one of the things I brought up last week, and I'll tell it really quick. And whatever you think about the Warrens, it doesn't really, mesh into this at this time, because it was just something that she said that I actually believe in. Paulino and his son had a show for a very long time. We just lost Paul, and Paul had, like a different open mind about ghosts and what he thought they were and everything else. And some of it I agree and some of it I don't. And that's just fine. We're just exploring here. But the point is, when he was younger, one of his first things, he was just starting to get into the paranormal. He was in the seminary, he was going to, preschool, whatever you call it. Anyway, his university or something sent him to the Warrens to learn about the paranormal. They were it back then in the 70s. Okay? And that's where they were all in the same spot. They were in, I want to say Staten Island, maybe, or Long Island, one of the two. Anyhow,
Connecticut.
The whole point of the story is, thank you. It's all the same to me. I'm in Jersey. They're all lumped together up there. So when he showed up, he gets out of his car. He's going up the sidewalk. She's coming out the door, coming down the sidewalk. And he thinks he's coming to dinner. But they got a call, and they had to show up at the Lindley Street haunting, the 966 Lindley with the talking cat and the flying refrigerators, that thing. So anyway, they were going there, and they were going to have to jump in the car and take him with or leave him there. And her first question to him was, which I give her credit for, was, what spiritual state are you in? How is your faith right now? And he was like, what? And he said, I'm Paulino. She says, I know who you are. What is your spiritual state? I just thought it was great, because she was going to throw him in the car and take him to a house, and she wasn't going to take him if he had cracks in his windshield. So that made me think about things a little bit, just that one part right there. And other people that have brought that to the fore, Hans Holzler and so many others, Peter Underwood, people that were before we were born investigating, really, almost, and I think that's so important to remember those basics, like you said, Mike, and I don't know how else to warn people that if you go in with these, I have nothing but respect for your intestinal fortitude to try to overcome all those things. But if you're not in the right spiritual mind, if you're not in the right healthy mind and body, at least protected with your whatever you're using going into these things, you don't know what you're walking
Well, you
into.
have to wonder. You have to question her. She's bringing in somebody that's not even experienced in anything, and she's going to drag them along to some case that's supposedly all hell is broken with. So, like,
Right.
why is she doing that? So, where's
Right.
her credibility? That's how I look at it with the Warren.
Yeah, I'm
And,
just now starting to get
Yeah.
into all that with him. I think Paulino said he left them in '78 because I think Ed was leaving. He would do the kind of placebo effect thing. Now, this I do not, and these gentlemen here are not going to agree with this either. If it was a child, I could see giving him a spray bottle and say, you believe in this, put your faith in this, you spray the monster and tell them, go away, you have the power. I can see empowering a child like that.
Sure.
But what Ed Warren needs to do is he had this mixture, and Paulino, I just listened to an interview not too long ago, said it was just some kind of a goo, like a mixture that he made. He didn't know what it was. Could have been anything. Could be honey, corn syrup, whatever. And he used to put it in a mayonnaise jar and leave it with the people and say, when we're gone, this will help protect you. This is going to ward off the, and Paul said it was absolute nonsense. And when he asked, he said it wasn't just his thought about it. It was when he asked Ed Warren about it, he got mad. And he said that, I don't put words in his mouth, I'm paraphrasing. He said something along the lines of, well, we have to leave them with something. They have to put their faith in. If they don't have faith in, and I'm like, wow, I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, what do you think about that, Eddie? I mean, if it's true, allegedly. Go ahead.
If true, I wouldn't think that would be a very good idea. Like you said, for a child, yes, I could understand doing something like that just to help them through something. But for families or adults, I think you need real answers.
I love that. Real answers. Yes. I was just thinking real answers. You took the words right out of my brain.
You must
That's
have
it.
in my head then. But
That's it, baby. It's just, but it's true. It's true. I mean, again, Mike and I have talked about this before too. I get so excited about this because it's just like, my gosh, it's the whole reason I do this show, is to just try to get this information out there and knock out the BS, I think, again, I think there's something with the child that you can do that's empowering the child. But I think this placebo mess, if you don't believe in it, you might as well throw a slipper at it. And if you don't have real answers, Mike, what are your thoughts?
Well, growing up on Long Island and having the Amityville Horror House,
Yes,
that at least for the East Coast is the biggest, terror story of our generation. And and of course the Warrens going in with all their claims, and Hans Holzer with his claims, and then so my best friend, who's in my paranormal group, he lives next town over from Amityville. And just recently, in the last year or two, we went over and visited the home. And he actually knows some people that live there, and or a niece that their family relatives own it. And as long as they've lived there, they've had absolutely nothing happen.
Mm-hmm.
I have a really good investigative friend that many years ago, his cousin was a contractor, a renovation contractor, and they were actually renovating the home when it was sold or being sold. And so he said, well, hey, can I come in there at night while you're working on the home? And they said, absolutely. So he spent 2 weeks in the Amityville horror home, and he's a very good investigator. And he came away with absolutely nothing.
Nothing.
In
I
2
really
weeks,
think it was the
spending
people.
every night there. And so I do believe it's one of the biggest hoaxes there is. And you can watch multiple documentaries on the different families that live there and the sons of so-and-so and all their claims. Where's the proof? Give us solid proof. Stories are great, but if you don't have video, photos, something that's real proof that's not doctored, it's just it's made up. And
It's a story.
George Watts was the biggest crook. He was the biggest whack job there was, and he did it in service. And look, he didn't even make a lot of money for making up the story. He got paid like $300,000, which that's nothing compared to look at the franchise that it's still
the franchise. The Jay, what was it, Jay? And I can't remember his name. I can still see the cover of the book. I did a big old thing on it. I think it was like 12 hours total of just Amityville. I dug all the way back to when the DeFeos went into California.
And him sat down and made up the whole story.
Yeah.
So,
Jay, what is it? Chat, somebody in the chat dropped that because that's going to bug me. I'm terrible with names. Somebody will have it. But that's part of it. But, regardless of, what she was going to do, that whole spark of what she said to him, it was just one of those times where I was hearing that for a couple of days, different little things I was looking at, it was popping up with the energy. And I thought, man, I've got to get that out there, that it's so important what you're bringing to it, what you do for yourself. I mean, some people fast, some people go through it, if you're a medium or a psychic or whatever, they go through an awful lot before they do investigations. That brings me back to the first beginning when we were talking about everybody sees these shows that are basically 40 minutes and commercials for the hour. And what do they really walk away with? I personally, in the beginning, I really liked Ghost Hunters they spent a lot of time on the history. They told the story. They were it seemed like they were doing that because I'm a big fan of sightings and unsolved mystery. And search ofs and things that really dug deep. And, I can still see Leonard Nimoy sitting on the bed talking to that psychic and the ghost to go back to Kennebuck or whatever it was called. I'll never forget. She was just so worried about the farm and she was left behind and it was so much work. And see, that's what I grew up on. I grew up on the heart and the feeling of it, countless Hans Holster books of him sitting there with Sybil Leek and trying to communicate with these ghosts and find, why are you here? Why did you stay? And as I'm growing up, I'm thinking, my God, I don't want to be a ghost. How do you not be a ghost? So I discuss, that kind of thing. So both of you, now you had your experience. You said you were 12 and I remember you told me the story of how you got the recording and that really sparked your interest in the EVPs. But Eddie, I don't know if I ever heard if you had experiences as a child, did you have support and people that you could talk to? Because I did not. And I couldn't talk about it. So I don't want to dig into your private stuff, but did you have any kind of support or guidance? And if not, where did you find it?
It is so funny you asked me this, and I'll give you the really brief story. I grew up in a very religious Christian home, and which I'm still very much a very strong Christian. I just happen to be a Christian ghost hunter. But when I'm the youngest of 3 children, and when I was about 12 years old, and the older 2 were off to college and dating and stuff, and I would be home, more likely on a Friday or Saturday night by myself, I started hearing noises, footsteps, and sometimes I would get up to go get something and come back to the television. I'd be watching one of those late night scary movies or whatever. And the channel would be changed. We only had 3 channels because, it was the old kind of television you had.
Right. Yeah.
And the channel would be changed. And it would always just blow my mind because I'm like, well, how did the channel change? Because we didn't have an automatic TV or anything. And
I mean, you actually had to take the dial that click, 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 click. Remember that? Click, 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 click. Had to turn it. Yep.
And all these little things kept happening and noises and funny feelings. And I would see something out of the corner of my eye. And then one night I went to get a piece of chewing gum from my parents' room. And when I turned around, it was pitch black, but I knew exactly where I was going, in the closet. And I went to the closet and got the chewing gum, and I turned around and there was something right in my face. And I was around 12, 13 years old. And I stepped back and I could hear my daddy snoring, and mama was asleep too. And I started, saying, who's there? Who's there? And my mother woke up and she asked me what was going on. And I told her. She got up. She finally turned on the light. And I said, I swear somebody was in the room, which really scared her very bad. And so then I told my parents, like, the next day what had been going on. And it really scared my mother. She didn't want us to talk about it. And my daddy basically said not to say anything else about it. So the only people I could tell anything to were some of my friends. And of course, some of them thought it was funny and some of them didn't believe me in that. So I had no support in any way. And all kinds of things were happening. Trust me, there were things moving and noises, and I would see things. And so lo and behold, quite a few years later, when I was around 18 or so, nobody was at the house but me, because my parents had gone off on a trip and my sisters were already married by then. And I had some guy friends stay over, and there was about 5 of us in the basement where my room was. And there were all these stairs going up to the den, and the door was closed. So we're sitting down there talking, and we were laughing and doing stuff 18-year-old guys do, acting stupid. And then all of a sudden, the doorknob to the door to the den way up the stairs started rattling really, really hard. And we all looked up there, and the door swung open and slammed against the wall. And we all jumped up and ran out the back door. And they were saying all kinds of words that I'm not supposed to say in public. And it scared me too.
Yeah.
And there was a couple of them. One of my best friends, he said, "Oh my God, you were telling the truth the whole time." And
Gosh, the validation. I love it.
yes, and they were all
Finally.
some of them didn't know what was going on, and some of them did. And so then, of course, they go tell everybody at work and school and wherever. So the word starts getting out that Eddie's got a ghost.
Oh,
And
gosh.
I had to live with that for many years.
For
And
12 or 14, you said you were?
by then I was 18, because it was
Okay.
and
That's even worse almost, I think,
right. And so
time-wise.
years go by. I eventually moved out, and then I moved back home. I guess I was 26 or 7 or something, and I was going back to school. So I moved back home with my parents, and I went back to my old bedroom. And I remember thinking to myself, this had to be a dream. This didn't really happen. There's no way this is true. And lo and behold, shit started happening again.
Oh, wow.
And so with that said, fast forward, I go to school, all these things happen, my life goes on. And in 1998, because my father died in 2000, in 1998, I was sitting over at the kitchen table at my parents' house with my father, and nobody was around, and we were just talking about stuff. And all of a sudden he looked at me and he goes, "Do you remember those ghosts you used to talk about?" Well, my mouth almost hit the table.
I bet.
Because you were not supposed to talk about it.
Almost 20 some years later.
Yes. And I was like, yeah, why are you bringing that up now? And he looked at me, and my father was a wonderful, wonderful, loving, caring person. And he looked at me and he said, "I knew you were telling the truth." And I was like, what are you talking about? I said, how did you know I was telling the truth and you didn't say anything? He said, "Well, I couldn't say anything because your mother was so upset." And I said, "Well, how did you know I was telling the truth?" And he was a deacon at the church, and he would work on church work at the kitchen table many nights. And I was off playing in the band or something when I was an older teenager. And my mother was at like bridge club or something. And of course, my sisters were already gone. And him and the cat were the only ones in the whole house. And he was sitting there. No television was on or anything. And he said he started hearing voices from my room in the basement. and he heard 3 distinct different voices, and they were having an actual conversation. And I said, well, how long did it go on? What did they say?
Wow.
And he said it probably went on 10 minutes or more, and that he couldn't quite understand what they were saying, but it was 3 distinct voices talking like regular conversation. And I said, well, did you go over and listen or go open the door or anything? And he just went, no, and did like that. And that's pretty much the story. He didn't say anything else after that, but that was my validation.
Yeah.
Years
20 some years.
that, I mean,
Yeah.
I knew friends had seen it and I knew what I had experienced. But for my father to say that he actually knew I was telling the truth all those years,
You got that. I'm so glad you got that.
I was like,
Yeah.
wow.
Wow.
In 2006, me and some friends started NC Hags, and little did I know all of that stuff I was doing as a child, talking to ghosts, because I used to tell it to leave me alone. And I had a cat that was very ornery, and she didn't other people. And when it would enter the room, I would always know because her ears would go back, and sometimes she would start growling or hissing, and she would follow
Yes.
the room.
Yeah.
Which is how I learned that animals can see ghosts.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize it was this huge learning experience that I.
Isn't it? It's such a journey. It's
It is.
such a wonderful journey. And I had a similar one, you know, not because of the actual type of experience, but the fact of having these experiences as a child and not getting validated from, and being in the house with other people who are denying it, not talking
Yep.
about it, and acting like they're crazy and
Yep.
picking on each other and making fun of each other. Because I was in the house, Eddie might not be aware, but I lived in a 200-something-year-old farmhouse in New Jersey, right smack in the middle of the Revolutionary War battlefields all around here. And we had Revolutionary War go something in the garage, the old green garage. I'll never forget it. Big old barn-like type look. But I can remember it was green. And there was something in the basement for sure. But this Revolutionary War soldier would pop up in different ways depending on his general mood. Sometimes he'd be angry, sometimes he'd be sad, and you get a forlorn feeling off of him, and sometimes a fear, almost like a pure anxiety, or like an oh my gosh kind of thing from him, you know. I felt all these different feelings, and everybody's acting like it's not there. When I know what my sister saw him, she's screaming she saw him, but nobody could talk about it. 20-something years later, we have a reunion. We all split up. I'm in the Army. I did all the things, and I'm back around. I got kids of my own now. And my sister looks up from the couch looking at a family album and says, does anybody remember the ghost? One of those kind of things. And so we start talking, and their little things are coming out. Like you had a kind of a big thing, but they had little things is like right away. One sister just slammed her picture album closed and left the room. It's, I don't want to talk about that. She's gone, you know. But you know, you get little pieces, and I think that's what happens to all of us. We're trying to gather the pieces to prove to ourselves we're not crazy. We saw what we saw when we were kids or whatever. Mine was also compounded by grief because I lost my mother when I was like 11. So I was for sure going to, this isn't it. You know what I mean? And she started coming to me in different phases of time, in different ways, you know, and different appearances and things, which kind of gave me my timeline taught me so much about going on the other side, and I guess going through whatever they go through to ascend to a higher vibration, or you know, that frequency. So Michael, on everything that we said there, I know that sparked, did you have any interest in ghosts for whatever reason before you started recording? What was the thing that ticked you off on starting to even leave the tape? Was it an accident?
Well, growing up in the late 60s, early 70s, if you notice, all the TV shows that were out at the time were The Munsters, The Addams Family, The Ghost of Mrs. Muir.
Yes, that was a good one.
And yeah, if you think back at why
I Dream of
did we
Jeannie.
have all these shows, but I was fascinated with them. I loved them all. Never ever thought in a million years even had the question about, are ghosts real? Never even thought about it. Just for some reason, I loved watching every show that I could find on ghosts. never had any inclination that ghosts were real until I captured that recording on my 2-channel Pioneer
So
707
interesting.
reel. And
You were really, were you watching it just for, I'm sorry not to cut you off, but just a question popped into my head of, were you watching it for the thing that kind of draws us all, for the jump scares, and it's interesting, and you just, we all like a little scare? Because you're saying that you're watching, but you weren't really even
I love it because
real or not.
those shows, and even the Night Stalker, that was one of my favorites.
Oh yeah,
all those shows were
Kolchak.
entertaining, and just about 90% of them were funny. But they were
Yeah.
comedy, if you think about it.
That's
So
true. That's true.
we didn't have any shows, and of course I loved all the, and then we had Abbott and Costello meet,
Yeah.
The Wolfman.
Time of Their Lives is one of the best ghost movies you'll ever watch. I can attest to that. If you haven't seen
the only
Time
thing
of
that
Their
I'd
Lives, you
say
have to
was
watch it.
scary out of the movies that I would watch is Chiller Theater, if you remember that. And
Do I remember? I can
crazy,
still do the intro. I don't have 6 fingers.
the arms coming out of the ground. Chiller.
But he had
And,
6 fingers, remember?
And so that was the other side, which was really scary because, if you thought about it, like, wow, that's real. I'd be pale as a ghost if I saw something like that. So
The quicksand scared the shit out of me.
Yeah, so that was my
Quicksand.
fascination. So but I never really believed that it really existed until I started reading about Hans Holzer. And I just read one article. There was a story in a local northern magazine called the Yankee Magazine that was actually published and still is published to this day in Derry, New Hampshire. And it was a great magazine because it had history, it had recipes, it had all types of things in this tiny little magazine. And
It's
then
kind of like a Reader's Digest with the coastal theme.
Right, with the New England theme. And then it was Ocean-Born Mary was the first story and that was by Hans Holzer, and I read it, and it took place in Henniker, New Hampshire, which was not far from me. And so I was fascinated because I lived in that area, and then to read about this pirate ghost that had buried his treasure, and was still haunting the location. And at the very end of the story, there was maybe a few paragraphs, and it was from Hans Holzer, and it said, "You too can record ghosts." And I was like,
"Oh wow!"
I said, "I have a brand new Pioneer 707 reel to reel." I said, "I'm going to try this," and I did. And I just followed his steps. It wasn't even using microphones. You actually would plug the recorder straight into a stereo receiver and put it on 0 static and just let it run. That's all he said. He said, you didn't have to do anything else. He didn't say to ask questions or anything. He just said, let it run. And so I did that. I think I actually left the house. I put it on, I left it. Those tapes would go for 2 hours. And so when I came back, I listened. And about an hour in, there was a man, crystal clear, yelling and screaming at the top of his lungs. Bloody murder. I mean, to me, I almost thought it was a plane going down. And this man was maybe in the plane, and the plane was crashing.
What? Because it was that much.
With a microphone, so this was through static. So that freaked me out when I caught that.
I forgot what the recording was. I remember you getting the recording.
Yeah, and that put me. And so then I would, we didn't have Google and computers back then, so I would go to the library and I would take out 20 books on the paranormal.
Yes, me too.
And I would sit there for hours reading it. I wouldn't even take them home. I just read them and reading all I could about the paranormal and the Bermuda Triangle and all the different things that are out there. So that's really how
I love it. I love it. And listening to both of you talk, I was talking to somebody today too about these different things where I'm starting to realize it's like, God, it's like, what was that? I could have had a V8 kind of thing. It keeps thinking about, I guess, dating myself, huh? But thinking about this, I'm starting to realize, and this whole theory can be blown out of the water with any minute, so just don't hang on to this. It's just a thought. But it seems to me that more and more of people in the paranormal or interested in the paranormal that had experiences as a child, and not only that aspect, but had to struggle for answers, are some of the most caring, kind, careful, thoughtful, uh, people with purpose for whatever that purpose might be, whether it's to get good, clear evidence or get down, to solve that mystery, whatever it may be. But they make some of the best paranormal investigators or paranormal, whatever they choose to do, whether it's a podcaster or whatever, bringing out the paranormal, because I think they had to struggle through that trauma, if we can call it that, depending on your experience. And those did not have a family or other person. It seems to be similar for people that might have had a grandma they could talk to, or a mom or an uncle or something like that. But it still seems to be the same result, that they go at investigation in a different manner. And I wonder if it's the struggle, if it's the reason that you sought answers early that created that type of investigator. What do you think about that?
Oh, definitely. Especially with Eddie's experiences.
Mhm.
Like I said, mine was different because I really didn't take off until 14. And then it really wasn't until the mid 2000s when digital technology, and I was out there doing cassette recorders and little mini cassette tapes and things like that for years, and getting little things here and there. But once digital technology came in, wow. I mean,
Wow.
it's so
Yeah.
easy to get the EVPs and get so many and be able to then, as computers were just coming in, to download it and start messing around on the computers with it. So,
I wonder if you've ever heard anything about Peter. Did you ever discover Peter Underwood around in your teenager
I know all
age?
about him.
Peter Underwood. Yeah,
Yeah.
because he was very big with the recordings and things too, and the things that he pulled up. And I didn't find out about him till much later on. And if I did as a child, I've forgotten it. Hans Holzer was the one that really put the stamp on me, and some
Right.
others that kind of went at it with that kind of compassion.
Well, I even
Because you were getting it back then too with the spooky, scary
tell
stuff.
all these new people coming in, the younger people, and I don't like the stereotype of the younger people, because I've met some people that are so gifted and have had so many experiences, and they're not like these thrill seekers. So I'm going to say it's a 10% out of this generation that is really just, maybe they're old souls, and maybe that's why
Could
they're
be.
more, But so I don't like to stereotype and say, oh, this generation or that generation, because I have met a lot of people that are younger that are definitely very much into this and are not it's the ones that are following everybody else and trying to be like everybody else. Those are the ones. Please go do something else. Please get the hell out of our field, because this is our field. It's not really your field. You're polluting it, and you're ruining it with all the garbage and stuff that's on
It's true.
Facebook.
And that happens pretty much anything. And I think the good is going to will out, but I think there's something to that theory. And I think, Eddie, it's the struggle. It's the struggle for the answers. It's the struggle for validation. If we can use the word struggle, but I think any journey is a struggle where you're trying to learn something. But none of us really asked for this. I mean, kind of delved into it, Mike, but you probably had, look, you had interest in it for whatever reason, and you sought Hans Holzer, which is where you got that. It might have just been for that, because it definitely spurred you in that direction. For Eddie,
it's a
yours
calling.
was,
I think it's a calling for certain people. It's a calling that we don't ask for, and we don't really. If we had a choice, we'd probably say no. We don't want to be connected to this.
And to struggle through and get disappointed, because so many people go into groups. That's why I'm saying, if you could just be careful about the first group. If you're just going with people who are interested in thrill seeking, I recommend ghost tours. Go be a ghost tour aficionado. Do it like bar crawls. Do it like a wine tasting. You can have a ghost tasting.
Do it for fun.
You can go taste all the ghosts you want on the ghost tours, because you're going to get the stories, you're going to get the thrills, you're going to get to see the places, and you don't have to.
Some really good things on tours, believe it or not.
No, gosh, and there's some great tours out there. All tours are not the same.
In itself, taking a little $7 tour to the Jenny Wade house during the day and capturing an amazing thing that will be on the next episode.
Fantastic.
So I always tell people, go, and ghost tours are fun, and hopefully the stories are pretty close to true or accurate to what they're sharing, depending on the tour guides. Mark Nesbitt's tours I love. I think he does a really great job, and all the folks that his staff that do the tours are very knowledgeable and stay close to the history. So if you're looking for that, the history end of it, yeah, definitely. But yeah, it's just that I don't know. It's become so diluted and so polluted with
Yep.
such bad things nowadays that people like us,
Right. And it's a
very
sensationalism. You really have to dig to get solid stories. I love having,
yeah,
Jack on and so many of the different people, that I've had the pleasure of talking to.
oh yeah,
And again, it feels like the people that had to work for it. I guess it's like that with anything. If you're just handed something, you don't appreciate it. If you're just doing something on the cuff, you don't appreciate it. If you have to struggle for it and work for the answers and work towards finding your path and your understanding, and you're really seeking answers for yourself as well as, you're for yourself is different than I'm seeking evidence to show people to get clicks, or I'm getting whatever your reason might be. It's totally different persona going in that door. For me, it's totally different than anybody, else I might, you don't see anything in my hand unless I'm doing dowsing rods or something like that to confirm what I'm feeling, because I question myself, especially when you're in a room with a bunch of people, you're picking up their energies and you have to do a baseline stuff. Each one of us does something different. But my main thing is, how can I help? I'm here for a reason. I know my spirit guides don't just drag me into a situation just for the heck of it. Because if I'm doing that, I'm going on a ghost tour. I want to hear, is it a good tour guide? Are they telling me stories? Are they getting, am I feeling it? Am I getting a history? Am I getting, good stuff like that? So that's a good suggestion to do. If you're just going out and you're trying to do recordings, you can go sit in a graveyard as long as you're respectful and I'm going to tell you right now again, I always say it when we talk about paranormal investigation, protection, whatever that may be that you do for yourself. I've got people that go through all kinds of stand in a circle and everybody does their little things so they can add it to the circle. I've had people that eat chocolate to raise endorphins, play music to raise your vibration. Yeah. Tell jokes before they go in. Everybody's got to tell a joke before you go in, so you're laughing before you go into the place. Just all these different wonderful ideas, and I think keep all those coming. But I think it's so interesting is, how did people get here? How did they get to the point where they're appreciative to still be in it for decades with all of the obstacles that were there? You have to, it's like you're reflecting, and because we did it as kids. We fought to get the answers. We hid the books. We hid the experiences we had. I remember talking to somebody, and there's, I'm getting all kinds of stuff around them, and you just have to act like there's going on, because you don't want to bring it up at certain times. I get some of those things. Like I'm at the grocery store, and I get the voice that says, "I could feel something coming around the corner, Eddie." It's like they're in the bread aisle and I'm over here. I'm just trying to buy my vitamin C and I can feel this pain and anguish and depression coming. And I'm just here to buy vitamins. I want to go home. I try to avoid those energies, but then I get the voice next to me that says, you have to tell her, don't quit. Oh gosh, here we are. Can't I just get my vitamins? I don't ask for this. And it doesn't happen all the time. It's not a weekly thing or even a monthly thing. It's only there when it's absolutely necessary. And then I have to go through, how do I tell them? Now I'm here and I got to walk up and I'm here. He's saying her name. So now I get at least give her a name. I'm going to scare the crap out of this woman. I don't like snipering people, but I also, do you know what I mean? It's like, hi, hey, you big hair. Hi, how you doing? I'm getting this, blah, blah, blah. And
Who are you talking about?
just let me lay everything bare here in the middle of the street in the crosswalk as I tell you about, all the messages you're getting from the outside. I just think, I'm not saying don't do that. I'm saying there's probably better ways of doing it. That's just my opinion. But here I am in the grocery store and I'm getting this and I'm going through this thought of how it's not my message to not give. I don't know how to explain that. I mean, how dare I cut this guy off? He's found one person, fool, that's going to listen. He was able to get through to me. How can I stop that? It might be 100 years before he gets another chance or whatever. That's how I think anyway. And I'm like, okay, I'll do it. What do you want me to say? Yeah. And then I very gently and carefully go over to sweetheart. I can tell you're having a hard day. Do you need any help? Can I get? Do you are you missing somebody right now? I'm feeling that you're a little depressed, and I'd like to give you a happy message if I could. Is that all right with you? Would you like a positive message? And how about Tom? Do you know Tom? Because he says he still loves you and he doesn't want you to quit. And then I kind of like go like this, wait for the slap. You know what I mean? But how can I not give that? And though my biggest regrets were never saying it, my biggest regrets were always when I didn't.
Yeah. And that's,
So I wonder if
you
you
and I
guys
probably
ever feel that.
label it, because thank God, for me personally, I don't know about you, but me personally, I would never want that gift. I would never want to be able to see them and to be able for them to want to talk to me, give a message. It's for me, I'm so glad what I do. And it makes me work very hard with the equipment to capture things, because I want to capture things that I can share with other people.
Mm-hmm.
What you're getting, yeah, you can share it, but like, yeah, this lady's batshit crazy,
Yeah.
you know.
But
You know, some
what do I
whack
care?
at the food store is telling me about Tom. I don't even know it's Tom.
Yeah. You know, it's like, do you by any chance-
But we
have you ever
friends that
tried
are very
vitamin
gifted.
C? How about a
Yeah.
Tom? Do you know what Tom did? Tom take vitamin C? I mean, yeah, it's you try to make it light, you know, but then again, I've had it happen to me as
Oh,
well.
I
You know,
believe it.
people have
Yeah.
come up
It's
and given it to
not
me,
a
you know,
gift I
giving it,
would want.
yeah, giving me messages, and I'm like, okay, give it to me because of all the different places I go or whatever. And
Oh yeah.
so you can tell right away. But that's my thing, is like my biggest regret is not doing it. So I wonder in this team, and then I've gone to make my slide cards. I got the pictures that you sent me. I've got a couple little videos we're going to show you guys. So hang in there, because it's a really incredible video that I must have watched it 80 times now, because I just loved it. And plus I know it's such a delight to know I'm going to say the word wrong, the provenance, you know, where it came from, the custody of the evidence. So I don't have to question it because I know where it's coming from. So I don't have to go through all that. I can just enjoy it. And that's so rare nowadays because with, you know, AI and all that. Here's something interesting you might want to think about. Might want to bring this up in the group or whatever and ask them how they feel about this. But with this AI and everything coming out, and you guys know your tech, I don't know anything about it. This is my lame duck way at going at this. Started thinking about this a couple weeks. AI really started kicking in. You start getting the videos on YouTube, and it's just the automated voice with an automated video, and you're just watching it. So I'm thinking, oh gosh, paranormal's going to we're fixing to really get hit now, right? Because it was bad enough before.
Yeah.
But something I realized when I was looking at videos before realizing I was doing it, I could tell almost, couldn't tell you if it was faked, but I could tell you if there was life in it. If it makes sense to you. There's almost a feeling that you get when there's dead air.
Yeah.
There's nothing coming. There's no life. Even if it's a picture, a photograph, or especially video, for sure you can tell because there's a lot of energy coming off of that. But if there's nothing behind that, I'm not feeling dead or alive. I'm not feeling the life force. I'm wondering if you guys are picking up on that.
I hate it. I hate the AI. I think it's horrible. And it's, I mean, now, I mean, it's so realistic, and you're watching things on, you know, the videos look so real, and you're like, it's so phony. It's so fake, and it just shows how disposable this generation and our world is right now. And it's really scary because how many people are going to get fooled by different things, get scammed, and older people don't know any better, and they see their grandson in a video saying, "Grandma, I need money," you know,
all the stuff that's coming through.
Yeah, so I'm terrified of this AI. I wish we had some kind of control over it, but it doesn't seem like our government really cares about anything these days. So they could care less about AI, you know.
Yeah, I think it's going to be hard. What do you think about that, Eddie? As far as the feeling of the videos or something like that, because look, we use that when we're paranormal investigation. We go in a room, we feel something, right? Something's here. Why couldn't we get that off of a video? And that might be one of our defenses against, of course, somebody's going to come out with a way to run it through, like TinEye, to tell whether or not it's AI generated, or if it's, you know, not everybody's going to do that. Hell, people don't read past the headlines on things anymore. Everybody's quick. They just like, oh, okay, well, that must be true, or see a picture or whatever. So easy to please. But the people that care, I think, better take time. What do you think about the feeling in the videos and stuff? How are we going to get past this?
Well, unfortunately, I think AI is getting better and better so quick. I'm not sure that the average person is going to be able to keep up with it to quote unquote stop it or prove it wrong or whatever. And unfortunately, a lot of the stuff that we've gotten over the years that we know for a fact is very real, and we did not fake it under any circumstances.
Right.
I think in the next couple of 5-10 years, it may get to the point where you just literally can't tell the difference, and people are going to be putting out incredible things that people unfortunately are going to follow.
Believe.
They'll
Yeah.
believe.
We're almost going through that thing again. We can look at the stuff like back in the days of, I can't remember the photographer's name now, with the, Mary Lincoln sitting there with Lincoln behind her with the I forget what you call that, double exposure type
Yeah.
of stuff, to the ectoplasm gauze coming out the woman's mouth and all this stuff. People saw that and believed it.
Yes.
And we're going back to that. So we're just repeating it again. And I believe that the pendulum is going to swing on all things and it's going to come right back to where it needs to settle again. But people like us have to keep that kind of stuff alive and keep plucking away at this and say, look, you guys are kind of playing house over here. You're not going to get anything. And just because you called this ghost Jimmy and Jimmy said yes or banged on the table, you don't have any answers, honey. You got a voice on a video. You have not confirmed that the little boy that died here of smallpox is the one on the there's more. There's so much more, and you're missing it. You're missing the good stuff. And that's why I like to dig down and say, how did we get here and why are we different? And I think we found that tonight. If you're given these things, it's just like anything else. Somebody hands you a new car, are you going to respect it? You didn't work for it, you didn't pay for it. You know what I mean? It's just handed to you. You're not going to respect it or yourself. And I think if we've had to struggle for these answers, cherish. I can freely use that word for myself. I cherish the validations, the times where, oh my gosh, if I'm just gonna make this part up. My aunt came and said goodbye to me when we didn't know she was dead in the hospital. She came and saw me, and she came and saw my brother. She came and saw this one and said goodbye, that just smiled, whatever the heck it was, and gone. And then we found out she had passed.
Mm-hmm.
You can't tell me. You see what I mean? You'll have people argue that didn't happen. You'll have people argue that, that was a fig Newton of your imagination made out of green cheese. Yeah. And, and shame on you for thinking different, But my thing has always been, at least for the past 10, 15 years, when I started to realize what I wanted to do in this, was to say, what did you feel immediately after? Let's go back to the feeling. It's like the AI, and it's like all of the other stuff. We've got to go back to the basic. We've got to go back to our feelings, our filters, our intuition. Don't get on the elevator. Don't make the turn down that street. Don't go in that blind date. Don't pick up that hitchhiker, whatever it might be. And we have talked ourselves out of our intuition. Yeah. Like the rabbit, I watch it all the time in my yard. The rabbit or the squirrel will yell, and the next thing the rabbit, he does his thing, and the birds get real quiet, and everybody works together, and nobody talks themselves out of their intuition. The squirrel doesn't tell the rabbit, oh, you're silly, go ahead and keep on chewing on that clover. Don't worry about that hawk sitting on that tree. We've talked ourselves out of it. So I think we need to go back to that. And I think it really clicks in with everything. And I've always looked at it. We've all know who Hans is and what and it doesn't mean I agree with everything he said. My God, he's got 150 books. I certainly didn't read all of them, and I can't quote them. But the things that stuck out for me, I'm not afraid of ghosts. They're only people in need of help. And when that sunk in, I thought, what if that was me behind the water heater in the basement?
Yeah.
And I think if we approach it like that, it's different. Who wants to go first on talking on that? Who's something?
Well, I want to say, and I give Michael a lot of credit for the history part of things and wanting solid evidence. me and him have spoke so many times about this, of just wanting, a good recording, a solid recording, a good picture, a really good video, and the history, what was going on, what is going on, and what goes on after the fact.
So important. So important.
Yeah.
So important because if everything's connected and energy doesn't die, if the past energy exists, my people, at least the people that I was raised by, they had, with the Native American thought is, listen to the wind. The rock remembers. The earth remembers. We're but a flint in time, and it's important those who walk before you, as important as the people that walk after you, but don't ever forget your journey is just as important as theirs.
Yes.
So make it count.
Yes.
All these things make so much sense. And when you apply that to the paranormal, you're just reaching out and helping somebody. Now, I personally am not going to walk past somebody laying in the street, whatever. We were taught different, help is on the way. Our neighborhood raised our kids half the time. I was just as afraid of getting whacked on the butt by, Miss Smith down the edge of the street as I was my own mom. And then I'd go home and get popped there too.
Yes.
But you appreciated, people cared, and I think that's what has to happen in paranormal, because we certainly get different results. You guys certainly get different results. And I'd love to go through these pictures that you sent. I don't know if I have them in any particular order. Please forgive me for that. But I thought they were wonderful. And if you just want to go through, if it sparks a tale or a story, you want to talk about it, please do.
Well, that picture you're showing there is a picture of me and Michael when we were doing the Brunswick Springs Mineral Bed and Breakfast in Virginia. Isn't that right, Michael?
That's right.
That was just
several years ago. Yeah.
Our group took that picture of us standing out there. We had been all over the place, outside, inside, and they just happened to take that picture of me and Michael standing out there because we've been on a lot of investigations together over the years.
Oh, absolutely. Now, with this one, can you recall what the tale on this house?
Oh,
excuse me.
Activity is incredible what's there, because the building was from the 1700s, mid to early 1700s, and so it's for the American Revolution and then the Civil War. And Eddie had met the woman that owned it through his day job, and she was a very nice lady, and they hit it off. And she said, "Look, I own this beautiful inn, and would you like to come and investigate it, because we have a lot of things going on?" And we did. We all went with our 3 different groups that we travel with. And so we had, in the short amount of time that we were there, a few hours, we had some crazy things happen and captured things and EVPs. And I was in a room by myself, and something knocked the hat off my head just as I was leaving. And then we came in, and in that doorway there is the front foyer, and we were standing in there, and I was just explaining to everybody what happened to me, that my hat got knocked off my head. And I remember one of the other team members looked up the stairs, and they saw a little girl standing at the top of the stairs watching us.
Oh, that was Jeff that saw that.
That's right. Jeff saw it from NC Hags, and he saw it, and he was like, he couldn't get the words out fast enough because he couldn't believe what he was seeing. And so we had multiple things happen there. And we've been so lucky and fortunate to be able to go investigate places that have never been investigated before. And that's something that we normally do. And I research it, and I find locations that have never had teams in before. Eddie does the same thing. And what's great about having 3 separate teams from 3 different, organized groups, we all invite each other to different things over the years. And we've, oh my God, some of the places that we've been to.
And learning from each other too, and that kind of thing. And again, when you're in that kind of group, it really takes a lot away, very much like it took away from, receiving something from you guys, like the video or an EVP or something. You don't have to, you just can enjoy it, know? It's the same as getting something from, like, somebody just gives you some old sandwich out of nowhere. Well, before you're eating it, you're thinking, who made this sandwich? Where did it come from? Do I really want to, you can just enjoy the whole thing. And again, I think it's very important for us to bring up again that you've got to think about this when you're in a group, and not just the energy you're bringing with or anything like that. It's like, why are you going? What do you want to walk away with? And what are you going to do if you do see a ghost? I think that is the most important thing, because if you get that kind of energy together and a ghost does show, wants to communicate, what's the game plan? Do you have somebody in there that's just talking? Are you going to go back again? Are you going to tell the ghost, I'll be back in time is different, but we're going to come back again and we would like to continue this. In the meantime, think happy thoughts or whatever it may be that you do. Could you create that?
Our services when we get invited to these locations is to validate what the homeowners have been experiencing and see if it's similar to what they have. And then what we do is we go back and we usually will share it with the homeowners. We don't try and put things out there. We don't make videos of it for the public unless they are willing to do that and want to do that. And Eddie does that really well. He makes great videos.
Oh, he does.
Over the years,
we're going to see one tonight.
Videos. And so, but that's only if the homeowner or the owners want that.
Right.
We've done so many cases that we've never, ever exposed what we've captured or where we've been. And we don't, unless it's something that's
something that they want to do.
At the bed and breakfast. And what's great is you could go stay there yourself and maybe have your own experiences. So
right. And it all depends too. That's the hard part about the thing. It's the owner of the property. You could get owners of the property that just wants the investigation to get the advertisement or to use it to get money. Again, if you're going into this for money or to be whatever, you're going in it for the wrong reasons. You're going to have a different experience. And it's just true. If you're in it for the right reasons and something happens, that brings you forward, I can tell you right now, as soon as producers and other people get involved and people smell money, everything's going to change. Yeah. So if you're in this to get out the truth or to learn about it,
and we've been very fortunate, and we're very particular on locations that we'll actually go investigate. And we make sure that we are not going to those locations where these owners are about money, because that it taints it. It taints the evidence.
It sure does.
That's why we're there. We're spending our money, our travel time, gas, our equipment, our batteries, and so we don't get involved with people that are looking to do that. And we've done this so many years now. We can tell if somebody's
look at the baby. Oh, stop the show. Pull the podcast over. Oh my God, look at this, darling. Oh, I want names, Eddie. Oh, look at you, baby.
Ellie.
Oh my good. Oh, hello, sweetheart. Spirit, come here. There's a kitty. We got kitties here too. We got adopted. Eddie, you're gonna love this. Adopted on Halloween Day. Both of them are rescues. One is named Spirit, and the other one is Bucephus. So there you go. I take my profession very seriously, sir. They're wonderful babies.
I had to move into charge my phone.
That's fine, darling. Whatever you need to do. But before I forget, I wanted to say, you mentioned about the kitty and that you were counting on that cat, and that's how you learned that animals saw spirits. Same experience with a cat, same thing. And here's what my cat taught me. It was my mother, and I used to wake up when she hadn't left. She hadn't crossed over yet. She was still trying to sort things out. I don't even think she knew she was appearing in my bedroom. I think she was just thinking of me, and the love connection brought her there, because when I'd wake up, she'd kind of open her eyes. She'd be just as surprised as I was. We kind of scared each other. Do you get my drift? And over time, I figured it out. I thought I was scaring her away, but now I think that she was just in her state and maybe somehow was thinking of me and that love connection, and she wound up there, and it surprised her. Does that make sense? Yeah. The cat would sit on my chest and would wake me up. It wasn't noise or anything else. And it took me a while to realize this. I felt her pain, which is what woke me up. And the cat would start and the hair would go up. But when my mom would show up about the third time, she wouldn't hiss and the hair would go, she would start to purr.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's different. Something. And as soon as the cat would do that, I'd start to look where she was looking, and then she would appear. So not only do they know it before they get there.
Yeah.
Amazing stuff. So we've got this one. Was this an investigation for you, Mike, at the Moon River Brewing Company?
I did a small investigation while I was going through the area. We were coming back from Florida from a cruise, and so we stopped in overnight. And so we went there, and I got talking to some of the staff, and they said, "You're more than welcome to go downstairs and walk around upstairs by yourself if you like." And so I was able. I mean, for some reason, I always get very lucky on opportunities like that, and I always take advantage of them. And so I was able to walk around a little bit, and
It's
it was
energy. It
interesting.
is.
And I've had
I
other
think
friends
doors
that
open.
I had other friends that went there and spent the night, paying to rent there and captured nothing.
Nothing.
So, a lot of these places, like that's what we were talking about, how locations, like to use these things for their businesses to bring in money and things like
Right.
that. So,
Yeah. And
you
then
know,
it's so funny because in my lifetime, back in the 70s, people would just about kill you if you said you had a ghost in the hotel. And now they're killing themselves to get it's just crazy.
yeah.
It's funny how it's changed. And here's you, Dylan. Are you in a? He's investigating. He wants to invest. Look, Eddie and I are kind of close. We live far away and we don't talk all the time. But it's just one of those relationships where it's like there's no time in between every time we see each other, and that's just how I feel. And because the first time we met, he investigated I don't know how to say it. He investigated the paranormal activity around my derriere.
You did that? You didn't tell me that.
He's coming, and this reminds me of it because I know he's looking at an EMF meter. I almost guarantee it. And we're going around, and we're going in the house, and we're all gathering to go in, and we're trying to find my big dumb jerk that I am forgot to shut my cell phone off. And he's going, I'm getting something. He winds up in my back pocket. And he's like, something's near you. Because, look, you got to check everybody. Make sure you shut off your phones. Make sure you do all that kind of stuff. But it was so funny. We had such a laugh with that. And I said, well, since you paranormally investigated my derriere, we can do pretty much anything together now, Eddie. But that was fun. Where was this, sweetheart?
I don't know because that was
okay. Well, I will fill you in. This was a case that we did years ago. I think this was maybe our second case that we ever worked together.
Oh, wow.
Our other really good friend, Beth and Don, who own Ghosts of Raleigh, are amazing friends, and they were getting amazing invites to different places. Well, this woman contacted her and said that they had just moved into a late 1700s home in Warrington, North Carolina, and the ghosts were really active there. And so we were all scheduled to go. And then this woman wrote to us and said, oh, by the way, I just want to let you know that I'm going to send my ghost to check you out first before we even come to investigate. And we were all like, what the hell?
I love it.
And we were like, really, at this point, we were concerned. We were like, because we never had anybody say that to us. So we went, and these folks were so nice. The house was filled with antiques, and we investigated for a few hours. And then these people were so kind to us. You can see behind them is the chandelier, and they had this beautiful dining room, and they had tables out, and they had cold cuts and sandwiches and salads.
Oh my goodness!
All this food for us, and we were like, "Wow, this is so nice." And so we all sat down. We all had nice chat, and we were eating. And do you remember what happened, Eddie? When Eddie wanted to go smoke a cigarette outside, so I went outside with him and his other partner Mike, and you smoked your cigarettes. And do you remember when we came in? What happened?
You talking about the telephone?
Yes. Please share that.
There was one of those phones before people had cell phones. It was one of those phones that sat on the little charging station.
Right.
Had a little antenna on it. And as I walked by it, the phone literally jumped in the air by itself.
What?
Did not touch it. I did not hit the table. The floor was not like a warp in it, because we even checked that after the fact. The phone jumped in the air, and I immediately, just natural reaction, I caught it from hitting the floor. And then like looked at the phone, and I'm like, well, why jump off the cradle? That didn't make any sense. And so quite a few people saw it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was behind Eddie, and I was walking in. All of a sudden, he stopped short in the doorway, and I smashed into him. And I was like, "What the hell are you doing?" He's like, "I'm trying to catch the phone. It was thrown at me from nowhere."
Yeah, and like almost wanted to give you a little something.
I
You
did.
know what I
It was
mean?
crazy.
That's
And then,
fun.
and so
That's
we're
fun.
sitting there. Do you remember we were sitting there and we were all eating, and they put out bowls of salad on the table, on each table, and we were sitting there. And this other fellow that was with us, was working with us, he was sitting there, and he turned around to say something to somebody. And when he turned around, the salad bowl was under the table.
Yeah.
And I looked, and I was like, "Steve, why did you put the salad bowl under the table like that?" And it was dead center. He's like, "I didn't touch the salad bowl." And somehow it got under there. And we
Yeah.
were all sitting right there, and we didn't even notice. I mean, it's not like it fell over. I mean, this was like dead center underneath the table. And
Yeah.
so that was another thing that happened. And so we were like, wow.
That's fun. And and again, they must have had a very good relationship with the ghost there. And again, I'm one of those people that like ghosts aren't pets, but look,
Yeah.
in certain situations, ghosts aren't ready to cross yet. We just saw a story not too long ago during the Halifax explosions that they had. It caused so many deaths. It was a huge explosion. But there was this lady that had no idea. She wasn't into this, nothing else. She went in with a kind heart and was seeing kid ghosts and some other stuff, and a nun ghost. And she didn't know what to do, much like us, wound up at the library, studied, try to figure out what to do. Didn't know anything. Sage was like, never heard of it, never heard of this, or never heard of whatever, ghost photography, nothing. She took it upon herself and just went with her heart and said, I think I need to do a cleansing. I think somebody needs to go in there and just talk to them and just put their heart out there and connect them back into the love and the light and tell them they don't have to stay. And they go. She crossed everybody but the nun. She just wanted, just out of the kindness of her heart, got these kids to go across. A man, a worker that had been there, and got blown so far into where the orphanage had been. The whole thing. This nun heard the explosion. There was a war going on, so they thought they were being bombed. So she said, "We're all going to the basement." She took the kids to the basement. Unfortunately, the explosion caused that thing there. So I don't know whether she felt guilty or whatever, but everybody crossed but her. She stayed back behind. And the lady said she didn't know why she stayed behind, but she felt like she had more to do. And I was thinking it's probably because not everybody crossed. There's probably more kids, or she had more to continue to do just to work through her journey. You're not always going to get everybody to go, and not everybody needs to go right now. My main thing is just that they know they can. They have a choice, but here's how you can if you need to. Or if somebody's really needs a lot of therapy and talk for a long period of time or something like that, where you guys are getting the evidence and the things to back it up and telling the story and pulling the history out. And I think we've forgotten about that history part in so many other paranormal investigations, as far as, sure, they'll pull it up, Whaley House or something sanatorium, is notorious for this, and all the dark stuff will come out. The things they did to the people, the stuff that, and again, it's sensationalism and it's thrill seeking. We all is like certain stories like that. I'm not a big person on. The lady is sitting there and she's saying, "I heard a bang," or "I felt like I was being watched," and there's like 5 demons in the corner that they've made up, and she never said anything about it. This is really throwing off kids that are doing what we were doing and trying to find answers, and that concerns me. I want you to make sure that you guys tell all the projects you've got coming out. Eddie, you work with Michael on a lot of these videos. Now, we've got the wonderful videos. I wanted to share with that. Let me take this off just for a second. We'll get back to that. But I wanted to share your websites and your YouTube videos. Now, of your YouTube channels. I found one for you, Eddie. Your back is killing you, isn't it?
No,
Is your
I'm
back hurt?
leaning over because I had to put the phone on a stand.
I was picking up that you had, I'm just picking back from you right now. Energy for healing.
But right now it's not really hurting.
It's not really bad. Okay, because I was just getting that so strong from you. If you ever talk to me, I'll help you with it. Okay, so I know that sounds funny, but it's true. Right here, I wanted to show a little bit of the old school spirits. I saw the picture that reminded me. Just a minute of the introduction. Is that okay with you, Mike? Because I know you both work with this. Now, please tell, you guys both worked on this project, or did you both go, or is it more
We were involved in that one, but it's a good story.
It's a good.
Thank you. Yeah, this is something that I worked on for the last few years, and this is up in Tennessee by my home up there, and please watch it. It's called Old School Spirits.
It's
episode
here on
that
Journey
amazing
Through the Past TV.
Journey Through the Past TV YouTube channel.
YouTube, and I know that you've just recently started a Spreaker, and that is for the EVPs and other things. And this is also
Haunted Frequencies on Spreaker.com.
Okay, and now how many of these do we have now, Mike? I've lost count. We have the old
We're
school.
up to number 3, and so now my next one is Gettysburg. And
I can't even.
Yeah,
I can't even wait for that. I can't even wait.
Eddie's in Gettysburg, so you can see Eddie in Gettysburg. Yeah.
Okay, so let me just put just a few minutes of your opener here, so I can give people a little taste.
Thank you.
Okay.
On this adventure, we visit a 1948 school in Butler, Tennessee. The owners were so kind to let us come in and investigate many times over the years. And we captured so many things that we would love to share them with you on this episode of Old School Spirits. So come along and see what we find as we journey through the past.
Child of silence. And shadow.
YouTube has been all day today with the dragon and the lagging. I don't know what it is. I've got lots of bars. It's not me. I think YouTube is just hitting a lot of. Look at it. It will not even load. Okay, it won't play. All right. Well, let's do this. Maybe. Okay.
Well, you know what I told Michael that I just love about
Oh, there it goes. I'm sorry. Load it up and start it up.
Where are your nights? Lost angel. Don't you see the sunshine?
The old original site of Butler, Tennessee is now under Watauga Lake. It was located 3 miles southwest of this area. Settled before 1770 by John Honeycutt, it was named for Judge R.R. Butler in 1868.
I want to cut it there because I'm just going to give a little teaser. I just love the way it's put together. I love the time that you took, to go through the history. And I wanted you guys to get a little taste of that because when you start watching it, you are lulled into the era. You start seeing the pictures. You've got that nice slow, movement of the pictures back and stuff, and you start getting rocked into the story. And once you're in there and you're learning about Butler and you're learning about the history of it, and then you start seeing, Mike going through and talking to people and whoever's on the investigation and where available, the townspeople, their stories, and it might not be a ghost story. It might be a memory of when they were small and lived there, or what happened. And you really get immersed into the story. I think they're wonderful. We've got the 3 of them now, and Gettysburg coming. Please get on there, get over there and subscribe to the YouTube channel. And is it still on Prime, or have you taken them down, or are they still rolling on?
The Country Squire is on Prime, and I put everything else on Journey Through the Past TV YouTube channel, and you can see all the episodes on there, and interviews with Eddie, and different projects for my radio blog and things like that. You can see everything on there. There's a good 25 or 30 things on there right now, and I just started it recently. So please go there and watch these different episodes.
Absolutely. I love each and every one of them.
Paranormal mixed together.
So much really work in there. But since we showed a little bit of Mike, I wanted to show that first because I know Eddie is so involved with it, and so many wonderful people I met out there. And I see I recognize faces in some of the videos and in some of the names that roll. And I think it's wonderful that people got together to put something like this down so we have it and, have the history and everything else. But Eddie, apparently, now I'm going to ask your permission if it's okay, but I found something from Eddie that he was 18 years ago. But I love the story, so it's a little short one, but I'd love to play it out for us when we go. It's called the Mako Light Investigation.
Oh.
And is that okay? Can I play that on our way out?
Sure.
I love the story. I love the heart of it, and when you had that magazine and the story was in the book, it just really sparked some nostalgia for my child, because Fate magazine.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
he did a great job with it. He really did.
Oh yeah, he did. So I'd like to play that on the way out, but since I've kept you here late and I want to get you all out of here, we're gonna have to do this again. Can we do this again? I feel like we barely scratched the surface, and I want to get you back, Eddie, so we can just tell our favorite ghost stories and everything else. We'll definitely get together before Halloween again, and then maybe we'll do a Halloween gathering and just tell ghost stories. Sure. We'll do a ghost story, a ghost off or something. That'll be fun. We'll look forward to having something like that. And you bring friends with you, invite, people that want to be a part of that. That would be nice. I want to do something like that this year. But if you were talking to people that wanted to, I'm very concerned about the young people today. They're up against so much trying to sort through things. If you thought we had it rough, and they're not going on the same foundation that we had, as far as whatever that may have been. We laugh and kid about the shows we had back then, but I was almost raised a little bit by the TV. I'm glad I had Father Knows Best. I'm glad I had the Waltons. I'm glad I had Andy Griffith telling what was his name, Opie, not shoot the bird in the with the BB gun and stuff, because I learned some things, but they don't have that now. They're shooting zombies at 3 years old, and ordering stuff off Amazon at 6 with mom's credit card. So so what kind of advice? I mean, I think it's been advice through the whole thing, but how can it cut through all this blather? They got to get back to their heart. They got to get back to the basis of it, and seeking wisdom that has results. If you let your results speak for you, I think people will come and see, how did you do that? Yeah. Because I've been doing this banging into walls and I'm not getting anything. And I think, boy, if you could come up with something like that, like a seminar or something, but just put the wisdom out there, we need to be doing a podcast like that, to where people can come and ask the questions and not be laughed at or said, I saw this. What do you think I saw? Because a lot of people don't have anybody to talk to, and something is under their bed.
Right.
So lead us out, Eddie, and then we'll go to the mic. And where would you like people to come to see you? To the YouTube channel, or your Facebook, or Hags?
I have a newer website, which is, I believe, nc.uni.verse, but it's a newer website. Best thing to do is if you go on YouTube and put in NC space HAGS, so NC Hags.
Okay.
All these videos will come up. I think it's the Eddie Reddy channel or something like that.
All right.
Tons of videos of investigations we went on, and a lot of people told me through the They said they loved watching them because it was like we were taking them ghost hunting with us, which was the intention of.
Yes.
And you will see Michael in quite a few of them, and you will see some other people that, you know, helped us out or were in the group for a while or whatever. But last doing them, and we're going to probably do some more in the near future.
I hope so. You know, let's get back out there and, you know, do some things. Maybe we can set something where I could come out there too. And I'd love to spend time with you guys. And Michael, we know where to find you, hon. What do you think about all that? What would be your advice to somebody who wanted to, you know, to seek somebody that's got wisdom, is not going to lead them down the wrong path? That is the hardest thing.
I always, you know, for years I taught the public on how to investigate, and I had a public group that was open to anybody that would join, that wanted to join. I would take them to all kinds of locations and teach them what I was doing. And so I always tell the younger folks, reach out to people like us. We're all very approachable. Eddie has a Facebook page. I have a Facebook page, YouTube, and write to us because we're the type that would like to talk to you, and we share our information. And if you have questions, and I always think the younger generation should work with the older folks so that we
almost
can all
like
get
an
together.
apprentice.
Yeah, I mean, you can't buy the experience that we have and,
Right.
and the investigations that we've been on and experiences we've had. You're not going to find that on TikTok and all these other, you know,
because you're
little
going
things.
in cold. You
Yeah.
don't have time to have a feeling, and I think that's what they want. The feeling they want you to have is the dopamine rush of just having that visual
Yeah,
thing.
that's
We need to slow down.
and crap.
Yeah.
And that's not what the real paranormal field is. The real field is communicating, sharing, intent, passion, and working together with other folks. That's
I
what
love
the
it.
real field is.
I
And if
love
you're
it.
not doing that, go do something else.
Yep. And I think some of the answer has something to do with the sweet, slow, Southern way of approaching things. Give it time to breathe. Give it respect.
Southern
Treat
Northern.
yourself, carry yourself with respect. Respect others. Kind of what I call roadhouse rules. Nice to nice no longer works. That's my theory. But living in the South, I learned to slow down. I learned to take time and talk, and I learned to listen. I learned to listen to others and their wisdom and look at their results like you would in anything else. You know, you don't call, you know, a bad plumber back 3 times. You don't just pick up the Rolodex and the Google, and you know your kids floating around the living room, and your knives are flying out of the drawers, and you just call the first number, because I'll tell you folks, they can make it worse. They can make it a lot worse. So you need to do your research, do your due diligence, and get somebody who knows what they're doing if you need help. I love both of you. Thank you so much. I want to play this quick video that you guys had that you did. Now, Eddie, did you put this together? This is the, can you see me? And then I'm going to play yours on the way out. We have to show this. Everybody, this is the video.
That's my thermal catch, and Eddie helped me edit it. We always share all our evidence, and then he put this nice little segment together to edit it to slow it down. But it is a thermal catch that's pretty incredible. So.
It is. Okay, here. Go ahead.
You talking about the thermal catch that you got or the Mako light?
I'm going to play the Mako light on the way out. I'm going to play the thermal catch now, so everybody can see it while you guys are still here.
Yeah, let Eddie tell you about the Mako light real quick.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, the story of the Mako light is supposedly in 18-something. A guy, the caboose came loose of the train. He was back there swinging his light, trying to warn the next train coming along. Of course, they didn't see him. It ran over his head.
Oh, my.
Decapitated him. You know, it's one of those stories. And then after that, they would see this lantern that would be swinging up and down the tracks. And when people would try to go to it, it would just disappear. And there's a lot of evidence for that. It's near Wilmington, North Carolina, in a place called Mako or Mako Station. And we went down there and kind of followed the story. And of course, the tracks are mostly gone now. That was taken up in the 1970s. But we got a very unique picture that we should not have gotten anything because it was pitch black, no moon that night. And I had the photograph analyzed. and we have something picture that looks like a man carrying a lantern or
Whoa.
something. Really. So,
And
yeah.
again, when you get it, it's just like you've never seen one before. It's just like when you get something, it's just like it blows your mind. So absolutely. We're going to play that one out. That one's about 7 minutes long. So if you want to stay after and watch that, I think it's totally worth it. And you get
Really
to see Eddie almost 2 decades ago. And
Yeah.
but it's dedication because
Yeah.
we're still doing it. We
Yeah.
still have the excitement for it. We still have the juice. It's still going. So here it is. I love this so much. And now, where was this taken?
This was you're talking about the thermal?
Yes.
Thermal was over at the Country Squire Inn property. There was another building in the back that was an old restaurant, and that was in there and captured this. I was alone in the room at the time when I captured this, and this was on thermal video.
Thermal video. Here we go, folks. Check this out. Okay, hold on. That one's not working. Let's try this one. That's on my end. StreamYard's acting up, guys. So bear with me here. I've got a backup because I had a feeling that might happen. I hope this is it. I think.
Another.
Is that one it? I can't tell from here. So I've got 2 short ones off your Facebook, Mike. I grabbed it just in case, like I said. All right, let's see if this is it. And go. Oh, this is a Country Squire Inn. This is Little Country Squire Inn. Is that a ghost standing there to the right? Or am I looking at the thing in the middle, Mike?
Thing in the middle.
Okay.
And, it's a green streak. There's no lights above me at the time. And there's actually a figure standing in it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it's green, which is really amazing to get.
That is amazing. Now that you say that, I can see there's a figure.
I didn't use a flash. I took the picture either.
Wow. Okay, so since I let that play for a little bit, you guys can go back and you can stop the video and you can take a look at this. You can make it bigger. That's amazing. All right, let's see if I can pull this one down without going there. Let's see if I can do that one. Get bigger. Take these off. And this one should be it. If yes, can you see me? Here we go. Oh my gosh. What is that? Are you guys seeing that?
No, don't see
Okay,
anything.
hold on.
Maybe you have to take this other one down.
Let me take this other one down. Okay. Yes, this goes pushing buttons. Okay, let me go back here. And do that one more time. Bingo. Okay.
Pay close attention.
I'll let it run through again. You're ready. Let's run it one more time. Wow. Wow. I see legs, I see knees, arms, elbows, head, neck, and maybe a hat. Wow. Wow.
So that was in a pitch dark room, and there's no way any of us, if anybody was running in a room, they could see where they were going. And nobody was in there but me at the time, and I just had the thermal set up on a
I saw knees. I saw distinctive leg bend, knees, elbows doing this, possibly even a hat of some type. It was running. He's trying to get out of there away from you, huh?
Yeah,
He's trying to catch me on one of his fancy gadgets.
He's a scaredy cat.
Yeah. that's something, because again, it reminds me so of the Peter Underwood and the story he used to tell of, it's looking at us, and all these different little things. You never get tired of hearing these stories. You never get tired of seeking the answers. And with people like you make the paranormal so much more pleasant and so much more enjoyable. And I don't know how to say it, but the results are the proof is in the pudding, in the paranormal pudding, I guess you could say. I love you both with all my heart. Say hi to everybody out there, to Brandon, and how's Billy
Thank
doing?
you for having us on again, my friend.
Yeah, and
Thanks, Eddie.
I love you. I love you so much, and please come back again. Let's do something like that for Halloween, or put a paranormal panel together. If people can ask questions, tell ghost stories, and it'll be just fun. Let's do this again. We're not going to wait so long next time, okay? And here we have, on our way out, I love you, honey. We are going to do the Eddie doing the Mako light. I just love this so much. Let's see if I can put it right here. It is on, this one is actually listed as the NC Mags site. I know it's on a different on a different YouTube channel, but we're just going to go ahead and enjoy this because it's just fabulous. All right. Good night, everybody. Love you.
Good night.
It's so much fun. Chat, thank you so much for, I was looking for questions. You guys were just listening so well. You're going to enjoy this video, and I'll see you tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. Here he comes.
Hey, this is Eddie with NC Hags, and this is our investigation into Joe Baldwin and the Mako light.
I love it.
A North Carolina ghost story that dates back to 1867. It's so famous that it was featured in this 1957 Life magazine. So let's see what we found on the investigation and look for ghost hunting.
Hi, this is Andy with NC Hags. The next part of the video that you're going to see is our nighttime investigation at Mako.
2007, Mako Light. 2007, Mako Light.
I'm here.
2007 Mako Light.
In the year 2000.
2007 Mako light. We're looking.
We're entering the west side where the tracks used to go at Mako. And it's about 8:30 at night. As you can see, it's grown up. Okay, we're at the kind of a dead stop here with all these trees.
Let's try to keep our lights down a little bit.
We're going to have to find another way through.
Hey, this is Eddie with NC Hags. On the next part of this video, you'll see a picture that we can't explain. The first part of the picture is the regular picture. The second picture is an enhanced version. This is the exact time that I asked Joe Baldwin to show himself, and there was no flash photography used and no trick photography used. We're not sure what is on this picture, but most people say it looks like a silhouette, and we think it looks like a silhouette also. So tell me what you think.